In this episode, we recap our conversations with Rainforest founders CEO JJ Chai in 2021 and CFO Jason Tan in 2023 as they talk building Rainforest to become the e-commerce house of brands for moms and babies. First, we get an introduction to their approach of acquiring and growing brands from JJ.
Today, our business model is set up in a way that we can only help in the case where we actually provide them an exit, right? This is something fundamentally will change over time, which is we are keen to figure out how to help the micro entrepreneurs over time, whether it's even as simple as just providing them content about how to be a successful e-commerce entrepreneur, how to grow your business. Nothing to do with exits or anything like that. Just how to grow an e-commerce brand. There is this explosion of people who want to create their own brands and create their own products, design things. And I think society in general benefits if you help them along and we have better products and better things for us to use and have impact on, right? I think you see us doing more and more on that. Of course, at the early stages, we need to focus on the core business, which is around acquisitions. In that space, the very specific things that we look for are really around what are the areas that form the most important part of the 0 to 1, which is, do you have evidence that you have cross product market fit, right? Do you have a product where people are already buying it, they are happy with the product, and they will continue buying it or recommend to their friends if they had a chance to. So fundamentally, that's the core question we ask ourselves when we look at these brands and products, which is, have they cross product market fit? Is this a product that someone already enjoys? And then can we then put on to our platform around our ability to source better, run supply chain better, distribute better, run marketing better to then accelerate the growth of that brand and product? Obviously, the other part of the business is we need to grow the brands that we have and have a cohesive portfolio of brands. I think that the end goal, also signs that we're hitting success, is that we have a growing portfolio of brands with cohesiveness around who's the buyer behind it and the categories that we're in, such that there's more similarities around the people who are buying it. And they start looking at us as a house of brands where we have products for you, right? So if you are of a certain demographic, you have a good chance of having one of our products in your home or in your life. Right? I think that's where we hope to get.
And to run this house of brands, it was important from day one to bring together a strong founding team.
And then the co-founder piece was really around, from my experience working with different startups in my career. Being deliberate about finding your co-founders is one of the most important things about founding a company, which is, who do you want to work with and what kind of skill sets do you have and who are the people that will help complement the skill sets that you have. So I had everything around growth, around company building, putting systems in place and scaling up things in a more structured way. I needed tech side of things. I needed someone who understood e-commerce selling and platforms, in our case, particularly Amazon. And I needed someone who understood capital markets and deal making better than me. So that's where I had in mind 3 different areas to fix tech or to solve that I didn't have: tech, e-commerce selling, as well as capital formation or deal making. So those were the 3 areas. And as part of that, I deliberately went out to find people, almost like a recruiting exercise that will work, right? So I was just talking to people, asking around, and eventually coming along to finding both Jason and Marilla. And of course, specifically for Jason, it was actually thanks to the Insignia side of things, we actually made the initial introduction as well. But I think the idea of being deliberate and not it works, right, in quite a number of times, but just forming your startup with the people that just happen to be around you is probably not a good idea, right? Sometimes it works, sorry, but just because they were sitting next to you in class or it just happened to be looking for something at the same time, it is probably not such a great idea.
Jason shares his side of the story meeting JJ and co-founding Rainforest.
So I know of Insignia, obviously, although they did not invest in any of the previous startups. I know definitely through events and so. So one day I got an approach to ask if I was interested in joining something exciting. I do believe that was the tagline sold to me then. I'll say, why not? It's pretty much a no regret call. That's when I was putting together a call together with JJ, some sort of blind dates for founders to the call. And that was just the beginning of a series of calls. And eventually I was also introduced to our co-founder, Ola. And I think after speaking about 2 months, 3 months or so, we decided to put something on paper, sign it off. And that was the birth of Rainforest. Running a startup is really tough, right? Have the right team, to have right set of alignment in values. It's very important, especially amongst your co-founding team. And I'm very grateful that I found that in my co-founders, both JJ and Ola. And I'm just glad that the whole journey has been great.
It has been a little more than 2.5 years since then, and Jason goes into what they have achieved thus far.
I think in the span of about 2.5 years, we're now quite 16 e-commerce brand and focusing on parenting and kids categories. We have recently recorded our first ever profitable quarter. So that's one of the achievements for Rainforest. And I think so far we have been focusing a lot on Amazon-based assets. So one of the things that we are shifting our strategy or expanding our strategy to be exec is to look non-Amazon brands as well, assets for acquisition. In terms of numbers, I think looking back 2.5 years, growing from the 3 of us to now close to 100-man strong team across more than 50 countries, I think that's another probably numbers I would also like to share, because Rainforest is all about its people as well. So me building a remote first and such international team is, to me, it's one of the achievements of Rainforest. So that's probably another one of the numbers that I would like to share.
And with this progress, we revisit through Jason's view how their business continues to evolve as their house of brands grows.
So as part of my role at Rainforest, I lead acquisitions as well. And I think it's important to also highlight that the acquisition is just means to building up the portfolio. What's equally or even more important is how do we build a brand post-acquisition to realize its potential. And in my role, I do have a wide and holistic view on everything from fundraising to the numbers, to the forecast, and through acquisitions as well. Obviously, they all are interlinked. And I think having this holistic view is important for me. It's important for Rainforest just because of the interconnectivity amongst all these functions. So I think if you open up the portfolio, it will always be overperformers, the one expectation. And similarly, there'll be underperformers as well. Be many factors to that. Yeah, from supply chain, could be pricing, could be competitors, so many things that can actually impact on the actual versus forecast. But what is actually more important for us is to create the team, is to create the foundation, is to create the tools, and for us to take action to build these brands to what is fullest potential. One example that probably would look at is productivity. So if a brand is already successful, the team will actually look at new opportunities, either improve the existing products. It could be simple as introducing new colors, sizes, or even adjacent products to actually leverage on the strength of the brand and ultimately grow the brand and profit.
And as Rainforest continues to grow its house of brands, as of this recording with 16 brands, raised a recent round of $21.5 million and makes inroads towards profitability, they continue to be guided by their role in shaping e-commerce brands and consumers long-term.
We help encourage the e-commerce sellers around this part of the world, right? Which is, if anyone is listening to this podcast now, it's also like, hey, actually, you know what? Why don't I do a side gig now? Then in 2 years' time, I can sell to Rainforest, right? And you try, right? I think for me, if this emergence of e-commerce aggregators around the region just nudges people to try a bit, right? Because one of the things, like if you start and then you're not sure, right? So if I grow this brand, what do I have to do? What do I do with it? Because it either goes really big or then I'm stuck with it. But now there's sort of options in between, which is if you go to somewhat sizable things, there are players like us who can give you an exit. So give it a go and try build something unique there. And the core piece around providing them like opportunities to exit, for me, really encourages one level innovation where sort of new, better thought through products actually gets to the market, which benefits consumers in general. To hopefully provide them more choice, which is without the sort of the platform in place, some of these brands will never get to some consumers. We will never sort of have enough stock or have never sort of expand to the right markets such that it gets to the consumers, because some brands unfortunately get stuck at a certain stage, right? And without the help of that to provide them a platform to grow, and the products actually never get to the consumers that actually might want it in certain parts of the world.
Thank you for joining us on this call. Make sure you get notified on when to dial in by following us wherever you're listening to us. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, toss in a like, and let us know if you'd like to hear more of this topic in the comments. See you all in our next call.